From that moment on, my brother and sister-in-law made their stance clear. We'll handle things from here. It's time for you to find your own place. My mother, aligning with their decision, began treating me like a burden. Did they even realize who had been keeping this household afloat financially? Their disrespect blindsided me. Deep inside, I resolved to take control of my situation. My name is Kinsley, a 30-year-old woman who returned to live with my parents after college. Initially, I had ventured into the corporate world to carve my own path, but the challenges proved too overwhelming, forcing me back home. While grappling with unemployment, I turned to work from home opportunities. With my scientific background, I began freelancing in engineering. The projects were small at first, and the income modest, but the independence I gained was invaluable. Unlike the grind of traditional jobs, freelancing allowed me to earn a decent living without constant social interaction. My confidence grew alongside my workload, and within a year, I was making as much as a corporate employee. But my mother couldn't comprehend my work-from-home career, while my father accepted my explanation. My mother, deeply rooted in traditional views, was skeptical of anything outside her understanding. "How long are you planning to stay at home?" she asked, her tone tinged with doubt, as though questioning the legitimacy of my work. No matter how much evidence I showed, client emails, salary statements, or the steady income hitting my bank accounts, remained unconvinced. She even speculated wildly, imagining I was involved in shady schemes or some dubious religion. "What happens if this so-called work runs out? Are you prepared to live on unemployment benefits?" she fretted. I thought about moving out many times, but my savings weren't quite there yet. Around that time, my father's health began to decline. His legs and back grew weaker, and he required constant care. Early retirement followed, cutting off his income, though he reassured me, "My pension will be enough." But knowing my mother's spending habits, I wasn't so sure. The worry etched on his face revealed his own doubts about their financial future. Despite my own struggles, my father had supported me through college, through my return home when I faced mental health challenges. Now, it was my turn to support him. Leaving to live on my own felt selfish under the circumstances. Determined to help, I assured him, "I'll take care of the family from now on." His eyebrows shot up. "Are you sure you can manage that? Is your income stable enough?" I confidently showed him my financial records, proving I was earning enough to contribute significantly. Though surprised, he finally understood the security of my position. With his blessing, I began to shoulder the household's financial responsibilities. I transferred a portion of my earnings to his account every month, ensuring medical expenses and bills were covered. To manage my mother's spending, I issued her a supplementary credit card linked to an account I controlled. I have found my footing, even amidst their doubt, and now, I was proving my worth not just to them, but to myself. My father, ever mindful of managing expenses, urged my mother gently, "Please, try to be more careful with spending." Instead of addressing his concern, she turned her attention to me. Shouldn't Kinsley be the one to leave the house? I calmly reminded her of my financial contributions and pointed out how difficult it would be to manage without my support. Still, my mother remained skeptical and suspicious of my help. It took persistent reassurance from my father to gain her begrudging agreement, allowing me to stay. As the days passed, I continued juggling work and household responsibilities. However, my mother began taking my efforts for granted, her demands escalating. "Can't you finish your chores faster?" she would snap. I tried to explain the challenge of balancing my work with house duties, but she brushed off my concerns, insisting I wasn't doing enough. The strain between us grew, and our once close relationship felt irreparably damaged. My father, however, remained supportive, always acknowledging my efforts. For a year, we maintained this uneasy coexistence. Then, my father's health took a sudden turn for the worse, and he was hospitalized. I visited him daily, offering comfort and reassurance. Despite the challenges, he expressed gratitude. "I know things are hard with your mother, Kinsley, but thank you for everything you do." As my father battled his health issues, the tension between my mother and me only worsened. Yet, memories of her sacrifices for me during my student years kept me from giving up. Things changed drastically when my brother Wesley and his wife, Alia, unexpectedly moved in. "We've decided to live here," Wesley announced, "to help ease the burden on you." I was stunned. My mother avoided my gaze, while my brother and his wife wore expressions that hinted at ulterior motives. "Now, you can contribute even more to the household," my mother added, her tone layered with gratitude and expectation. Wesley, a graduate of a prestigious college and employed at a reputable company, certainly had the means to support himself. So why had they decided to move in? Adjusting to their presence proved more difficult than I imagined. "Wake up, Kinsley," Make breakfast. Alia's voice pierced through my door, accompanied by sharp knocks. Already awake and immersed in work, I replied, I'm up and working. But Alia was insistent. Get on with it and make breakfast. Reluctantly, I stepped away from my tasks and headed to the kitchen. Our family had always followed a casual morning routine, where everyone ate at their own pace, but with Alia around, things changed. I had assumed she would prepare breakfast for her husband, as was customary in many households. Instead, she demanded cooperation, leaving me no choice but to help. I prepared a breakfast of soft scrambled eggs, a crisp lettuce salad, buttered toast, and sausages, but my efforts went unappreciated. Is this all? Alia complained. This isn't enough. Her words stung. I had put thought and care into the meal, muttering under my breath. I responded, you don't have to eat it. I couldn't hold back my frustration any longer. I have work commitments, I snapped, my voice trembling with suppressed anger. Alia crossed her arms and retorted sharply, who do you think you are to speak to us like that? Wesley chimed in mockingly, seriously, what kind of attitude is that? Who do you even think you are? Their dismissive tone was infuriating. I'm working, this is my job, I tried to explain, but they waved it off with sneers. What kind of job is this, anyway? Are you out of your mind? Wesley scoffed. Unable to deal with their lack of understanding, I grabbed my laptop and stormed out of the house, ignoring their protests. Behind me, I could hear Wesley shouting, where are you going? But I didn't bother answering. I headed straight to my father's hospital room. His eyes widened in surprise as I entered. Kinsley, what's wrong? You look upset, he said, concern etched on his face. I had a massive argument with Wesley and the others, I'd admitted, slumping into the chair by his bed. My father sighed, his expression softening. I didn't realize things had gotten this bad. I'm so sorry you're dealing with this. But, Kinsley, listen to me. You don't have to stay where you're not respected. You should live your life the way you want to. I hesitated, voicing my concern. But what about Mom? She might feel more comfortable with Wesley at home. Your happiness matters too, he replied firmly. Don't let anyone make you feel like you're less than you are. You've done more than enough. His words bolstered my resolve. That night, I returned home determined to make a change. The atmosphere inside the house was heavy, like the opening scene of a tense drama. My mother, Wesley, and Alia sat waiting, their faces grave. Where were you? Wesley demanded, his voice sharp. I had to take the day off work because of you. I held back a laugh at the irony. How easy it must be for him to take a day off, I thought, but before I could respond, he launched into a tirade. We've had enough. From now on, the three of us will live here. If you don't want to stay, then leave. We don't need someone like you around. Shocked, I stared at him. Why? What did I do wrong? You're just in the way, Alia added coldly. We can manage perfectly fine without you. To my dismay, my mother nodded in agreement. She, too, seemed eager for me to leave, bearing gratitude some, but I refused to let it show. Instead, I channeled my anger into action. That evening, I quietly transferred the funds linked to my mother's daily credit card to a separate account under my control. I also moved money from my father's account funds I'd been managing for his medical expenses into a secure account only I could access. I knew this would force my brother and his wife to shoulder the financial responsibilities they claimed to handle so easily. With everything set, I packed my belongings and stood before them. I'm leaving, I announced, my voice steady. Their reactions were a mix of shock and smugness. Good riddance, Wesley sneered. You've been nothing but trouble. Alia chimed in. You're not coming back, are you? I met their taunts with calm resolve. No, I'm not, and don't contact me. As I walked out the door, their triumphant smiles lingered in my mind. I couldn't help but wonder how long their confidence would last. Once away, I found peace in a tranquil environment, where I could focus on my work without interference. For the first time in years, I felt free. But my peace was short-lived. A few weeks later, my phone buzzed with a call from Wesley. What is it? I answered coldly. Kinsley, what did you do with the family finances? He demanded, his voice tinged with panic. We can't manage anything anymore. I let out a small, humorless laugh. I told you plenty of times about my work and contributions, but none of you ever took me seriously. Now, you'll have to figure things out on your own. But Mom said, Wesley began, faltering. Mom said a lot of things. I cut him off. It's not my responsibility anymore. You wanted me gone, and now you have what you wanted. Days later, another call came, this time with Wesley practically pleading. Kinsley, we really need money. Can you help us, just this once? I sighed, a mixture of sadness and satisfaction washing over me. No, Wesley, you have to stand on your own now. And with that, I ended the call, ready to move forward with my life. Perplexed, I asked, "Are you serious? Don't you work for a major company?" To my astonishment, Wesley confessed, "I got fired, Kinsley, and made a big mistake at work." His admission left me speechless. It became clear that he and his wife had moved back into our parents' home assuming there was a financial safety net, likely banking on the illusion of a stable pension after our father's retirement. The irony wasn't lost on me. I imagined their shock when they discovered the truth that I had been the primary financial contributor all along. Soon, his wife and our mother joined the conversation, pleading for help. They claimed their savings were nearly depleted, desperation etched in their voices. My mother revealed something that caught me off guard. "Your father refuses to contribute to the household finances anymore," she said, her tone tinged with frustration. I sighed, firm in my resolve. "I've supported all of you enough," I said calmly. "It's time for you to stand on your own and take responsibility for your lives." Their protests continued, but I had already made up my mind. Cutting off the conversation, I emphasized my decision to step away from their financial mess, refusing to let their problems derail the stability I have worked so hard to achieve. Meanwhile, my father, aware of the constant strain in his relationship with my mother, took a decisive step. He consulted a lawyer, and soon after, he moved to a quieter place to start afresh. I visited him daily, cherishing the peaceful time we shared. Through a friend, I later learned about the struggles my brother faced. He had moved into a modest apartment, living a frugal life that starkly contrasted with his previous lifestyle. My mother, forced to take up a job for the first time, struggled to adapt to the demands of the working world. As for Wesley, he found it difficult to adjust to the dynamics of his new workplace, where younger colleagues frequently challenged his views. His wife, unable to bear the mounting pressure, eventually left him, leaving Wesley and my mother to face their challenges together. Despite everything, my mother continued her habit of overspending, accumulating debts she couldn't repay. While I sympathized with her struggles, I recognized my limitations. I had done more than enough, and it was time for them to navigate their circumstances on their own. I focused on building my life, working diligently in a comfortable living space that allowed me to thrive. As my resources grew, I explored new ventures, all while making it a priority to spend quality time with my cheerful and ever-supportive father. Together, we created moments of joy, appreciating the peace we have both fought so hard to achieve.